Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege to then introduce the next speaker, Sir Jeffery Donaldson, leader of the Democratic Unionist Party.
Thank you very much, Jamie, and thank you to the organisers of the event this evening for their invitation. I'm delighted to be here back in Castlederg again. I'm joined by a number of my colleagues, Tom Buchanan, Gregory Campbell, Morris Devaney, and some others who are with us this evening. And we're standing with you because we believe, as our two previous speakers have said clearly, that the one and the most important thing that we must do as unionists in opposing this protocol is to stand together in unity. Because that is absolutely critical. That is the message that our opponents must hear loud and clear. And I want to echo what Jimmy has said. I hope that in time, and I welcome the fact that some of the UUP are now beginning to participate again in anti-protocol events. I want to see them on platforms. I want to see them standing united with us in opposition to the protocol. Because it is in that unity that we have our strength. I'm not going to repeat what others have said, but I will emphasise just how important it is that this protocol is removed. The Union of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland is founded on the Act of Union, or as Jim reminds me often, the Acts of Union. And Article 6 of the Acts of Union is very clear. It states that there shall be no barriers to trade between the constituent parts of the United Kingdom. And the protocol has removed from the people of Northern Ireland that fundamental right that is enshrined in the basic law of the Union. That makes us second-class citizens in our own country. It cannot be right, and it is not right, that when we want to bring goods from one part of the United Kingdom to another, we are subject to customs arrangements. They are unnecessary. The EU do not require customs checks on goods that remain within the United Kingdom. There is no threat to the EU single market from such checks. And therefore, the motivation for this is, I agree, to punish the United Kingdom for leaving the European Union. And we are caught in the middle of that. And indeed, one senior official in the European Union made clear that the price for Brexit would be Northern Ireland. Well, Northern Ireland is not going to be the price for Brexit. The Union will not be broken by this protocol. This protocol must go, and the Union will stay. And that is clearly the position of all Unionist elected representatives. So the Act of Union must be preserved. That means the UK Parliament, which is the sovereign parliament of this country, must introduce legislation to repair the damage that has been done to the Act of Union. Nothing less will do. We need law that clearly protects our right to trade within our own country. Earlier this week I was briefing an American journalist who was examining the issues around the protocol. And he said, I just don't understand what the problem is. So I give him an example. Recently the UK government announced changes to VAT. They granted concessions on VAT. VAT is a form of taxation, as you all know. But they could not apply those concessions to Northern Ireland because of the protocol. And I reminded the American journalist that the American War of Revolution started on the basis of what? The famous Boston Tea Party. No taxation without representation. In other words, it's wrong to be taxed without having a say in how those decisions are made. And yet that is the reality in Northern Ireland today. Many of our rules and regulations of how we live our lives, how we trade, are being made by the European Union. And none of us in this square this evening has any say in how those rules and regulations are made. They are imposed upon us. And yet, we were told by the government in London that Brexit meant taking back control. Not so for Northern Ireland, it seems. And so, we want to have a situation where those who set our rules and make our regulations are accountable to us. That is the essence of democracy, whether it's in the United States of America or in the United Kingdom. And so the protocol must go. It undermines the Union. It reduces us to second-class citizens because we cannot trade freely within our own country. It debases democracy. It gives us a form of government without proper accountability. It imposes laws and regulations over which we have no say. And I agree, no self-respecting unionist should believe that the answer to that is to create another North-South body to regulate this, with the pretense that somehow that would fix the problem. It's not even a sticking plaster, never mind a solution. The problem is more fundamental than that. What we need is protection of law for our place within the United Kingdom. And if those who say that consensus is the way forward, those who say that the principle of consent is important, then how can they oppose a law that merely restores our rights as citizens of our own country? That's what we are demanding. That our rights are protected in law within the United Kingdom. Trevor made reference to the election. I'm not here tonight, and this is not an election rally. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. But I am here to say this, and it's particularly important in this constituency, but right across Northern Ireland. It's important that as unionists we vote wisely and that we transfer our votes down the unionist ticket to return more unionists to Stormont, to ensure that our voice is clear. Because I think the message we want to come out from this election is that more people who oppose the protocol have been returned to Stormont. And I think that will be a very strong message from the people of Northern Ireland. So it is fundamentally important. We passed on the parade this evening, the War Memorial, the centre of Castlederg. I was at an event there recently to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the murder of a UDR soldier in these parts. Many sacrificed their lives so that we could continue to have the freedom of democracy. And that includes the right to vote. And I encourage all of you, no matter how frustrated you might feel with the political process, come out and vote on the 5th of May. It is critical that we get the highest turnout of unionists that we've seen for many, many years. And that we vote down the ticket and we return the maximum number of unionist assembly members to Stormont. And that way we will send a very clear message that will be heard in the corridors of power. Earlier today I was in Londonderry and I took the opportunity to visit a place where Colonel Murray, who was instrumental in the shutting of the gates of Derry, as it was then called, at the time of the siege. I was reading some things about the siege. Of course, we've come a long way since then and things have changed. But I think the spirit of those apprentice boys is alive today across unionism. And what they understood was two things. That sometimes it's right to say no. That sometimes the right thing to do is to say, this is wrong, and we will not accept it. And secondly, that they stood together and that in their combined effort, it was that unity that took that defiant act and closed those gates. And so began the siege. And so I think it is right for all of us to stand together and show that unity, whatever our differences, and we have our differences, as we've been reminded, but they pale into insignificance compared to that which unites us, our passion and belief in the Union. Our desire to ensure that peacefully and lawfully and democratically we will assert our right as British citizens to trade freely within our own country. So thank you for coming out this evening to support this rally. It is right that we do so, peacefully and lawfully, demonstrating our opposition to the protocol. Let us continue to do so. Let us stand together in unity in doing so, because it is in our unity that we find our strength. I now have pleasure in inviting the leader of the Traditional Unionist Voice, Jim Alistair, to address the meeting. Thank you, one and all.